Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack to flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew? It's your boy DJ Nuke, your girl.
Sierra Nicole.
Back on the channel with another son of you too. We got Buzzfeed Unsolved Cases that are now solved. Remember we used to watch them? She do not remember Buzzfeed.
I remember watching Unsolved Case. Oh, Buzzfeed?
You don't remember. Because it's been some years.
I remember Buzzfeed. But I remember watching... Oh, you said, do I remember watching Buzzfeed or like these type of
It's
videos?
a channel called Buzzfeed Unsolved.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you.
And so, hold on. Let me make sure you know. And there used to be two dudes, and they used to talk about cases. But not Buzzfeed, just the channel, but it was an all-branch channel of it. So it used to be, hold on. And they used to read. Hold on, this ain't the one.
Don't worry about it. I think I remember.
I'm going to find it.
I remember. Oh, that.
Them two.
Yes. This was... We watched this, didn't we?
I think so.
Oh!
Think about it. That's the same bridge from the, what's it called?
Yes. But yes, these two guys,
And they used to read it, and they used to be laughing.
Yes.
And you'd be
I
like,
used to like them. Why did you stop watching them?
They stopped making content.
How did they stop making
Years
content?
ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, I remember them.
Yeah, they stopped a while ago, but this ain't.
Yeah.
I swear those two stopped a while ago. So.
Okay. Anyway, but yes, I remember them. Yes, you thought I would. Well, I didn't remember, but I remember.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box
down below.
You already know where to go if you want the first part. You gotta do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
liking it with a thumbs up.
That's all we ask, man. That's all we ask. But let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. Let's see what this was about, man. Let's go.
There are 5 cases from Buzzfeed Unsolved which have now either been fully or significantly solved, and we're going to begin by looking at Forrest Fenn's treasure, which finally came to a full conclusion back in June 2020. Ryan and Shane investigated the mystery 2 years prior in September 2018, during which they explained that world-renowned treasure collector Forrest Fenn had hidden an actual treasure chest somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, which contained over $1 million worth of valuable antiquities. In Forrest Fenn's memoir, he wrote a 24-line poem which included 9 hidden clues on how to find the treasure, and while the concept seemed fairly simple, over 65,000 people had attempted to find the treasure to no avail. Ryan and Shane then explained that the treasure could be found in one of 4 specific US states.
The treasure is located in either Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, or New Mexico. Of the 4 states listed by Fenn, I tend to lean towards New Mexico or Wyoming. Wyoming because a majority of Yellowstone National Park resides within that state, and Yellowstone was a place where Fenn spent his formative years camping with his father.
And although Wyoming seemed like the most likely location for the treasure, the boys eventually settled on looking in New Mexico, flying to the state with over a month's worth of research under their belt. Ryan and Shane looked at 3 different locations in New Mexico, put up with bad weather and rough terrain, and at one point even thought that they had found the treasure.
That right there. Look, there's a box. What do you mean there's a box? Here, look. Is that a box or just a very square rock? That is a very, very square rock.
However, the trip ultimately ended with the boys leaving empty-handed.
I think we may just have to come to terms with the fact that we're not going home with treasure.
And the location of Forrest Fenn's treasure remained a mystery. That would be until approximately 2 years later on the 6th of June 2020, when the following post was made to Forrest Fenn's personal blog. It was under a canopy of stars in the lush forested vegetation of the Rocky Mountains, and a not moved from the spot where I hid it more than 10 years ago. I do not know the person who found it, but the poem in my book led him to the precise spot. I congratulate the thousands of people who participated in the search and hope they will continue to be drawn by the promise of other discoveries. So the search is over. Look for more information and photos in the coming days. Forrest. As promised, this photo showed up on the blog in the days that followed, before these two were also posted, confirming that the treasure had in fact been found. 1 month later, it was revealed that the treasure was found in Wyoming, which was one of the 2 states highlighted in the Buzzfeed Unsolved episode, although not the state that the the boys eventually went to. 6 months later, in December 2020, the person who had found the treasure finally revealed himself as 32-year-old medical student Jack Stoof, who coincidentally used to be one of Buzzfeed's writers. Jack had found out about the case in 2000.
He said one of Buzzfeed writers?
Yes.
Wow. And you know what? You want me to tell you what it is? Even though they went to New Mexico, he was like, I'm gonna go to the other state. Because
or the fact that they went there and
never found anything, and he was like,
go and try the other
that's what I'm saying.
Thought.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was like, y'all ain't go to Wyoming, so
I'm gonna take a chance.
Everything he said made sense to go to Wyoming.
Yeah.
And so he was like, it has to be there. Bro, only if y'all had went to Wyoming.
Why did they pick Wyoming? Even though they knew that, you know, but I probably would have went with that one first and then tried the other one.
If all the clues let you, like, I don't know, sometimes you gotta just, you gotta go, yeah. Right word.
Stoof, who coincidentally used to be one of Buzzfeed's writers. Jack had found out about the case in 2018, the same year that Ryan and Shane investigated it, and stated that he thought about it for at least a couple hours a day every day since he learned about it, also adding that he planned on selling the treasure to pay off his student loans. The treasure went up for auction on the 13th of December 2022, and after a whopping 1,643 bids, eventually sold for an impressive $1.3 million US. And while it took over 10 years for someone to eventually find the treasure, this is nothing when compared to the boy in the box.
So with that being said, technically he done came up on just by researching and doing and looking
and following the clues from the.
He came up on $1.3 million.
Child, he can pay them student loans off and still got a little bit to, you know.
Well, no, you got taxes.
Well, taxes too. But he probably how much are student loans? Well, he did. Well,
no, I'm saying he still got majority like.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying like how much are student loans though?
So he probably only got home about 700-800 out of 1.3. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Oh no, I'm saying that's a lot going into the government.
I mean, yeah, but go on and get it out the way, I guess, so they don't be coming, you know.
Was recently identified after 65 years of mystery. Ryan and Shane covered the boy in the box back in August 2017, with the major details being that in 1957, a box was found on the side of a road in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which contained the body of a boy between 4 and 6 years of age. The box had serial numbers on the outside, a blanket on the inside, and items of clothing scattered around it. However, despite having access to numerous pieces of evidence, authorities were unable to identify who the boy was. For this reason, the boy was buried with a gravestone reading America's Unknown Child, which accompanied a sign on the street where the boy was found reading, "This unknown child became known as the boy in the box. He has never been identified. His case remains open. He is now called America's Unknown Child." His body had been exhumed on 2 separate occasions in 1998 and 2019, with the goal of running his DNA through genealogy databases. The 1998 test was unsuccessful. However, by 2019, testing had become significantly more advanced, and while the victim's DNA was so degraded that it took 2.5 years of work to be able to extract enough data to perform the genealogy, on the 8th of December 2022, the boy in the box was identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His DNA was uploaded to genetic databases, which led detectives to relatives on his mother's side. After pouring through birth records, they were also able to identify his father. They also learned that Zarelli's mother had 3 other children. Police refused to speculate on who killed Zarelli, though they noted, "We have our suspicions," meaning that while this identification is extremely fresh at the time of making this video, it's possible that the case could be fully solved sometime in the near future. However, if we're on the topic of fresh identifications, then we have to talk about the—
That's crazy. I kind of do remember that story. I think we did watch that.
When I heard the boy in the box, I feel like we did watch. That's why.
Or somebody else.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
I think we know about that case though.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. The fact that I'm glad DNA has came. Maybe we can find out a lot of stuff that we couldn't. Yeah. But like you said, it took so many years to be able to extract and get enough DNA to be able, because the body been buried for 65 years. So you know what I'm saying? That's a long time. But damn,
that's crazy.
Who? So literally, somebody murdered him, left him in a box. And y'all just, wow.
And all these years.
What? The parents ain't said shit?
Nothing.
Like, come on now. Somebody knew something.
Somebody.
And that's foul play. That's, I don't even want to look into that.
Hopefully they find out what happened.
Yeah. Facts.
of the Dunes, who after 48 years of mystery was finally identified on the 31st of October 2022, just 38 days before the boy in the box. When Ryan and Shane looked into the Lady of the Dunes back in March 2020, they explained that she was found deceased on a beach in Provincetown, Massachusetts, yet because she'd been lying there for such a long period of time, the Lady of the Dunes had become unidentifiable.
Despite using bloodhounds, studying missing persons bulletins, scouring the registers of local lodgings, and looking into anyone who had a permit to bring their vehicle into the area, police turned up nothing.
The Lady of the Dunes also had extremely recognizable dental work. However, despite this and numerous different police sketches, nobody knew who she was. Similar to the boy in the box, the Lady of the Dunes was exhumed for DNA on 3 separate occasions in 1980, 2000, and 2013, although none of these resulted in her identification, leading the boys to state this.
For that to produce no kind of DNA evidence of like who this person is, it's kind of insane to me because 1974 is not that long ago.
No.
You would think that DNA would be fresh enough that you could figure out this person's identity.
What Ryan and Shane didn't know at the time was that within 2.5 years, the Lady of the Dunes' unknown son would undertake a DNA test with Ancestry.com, providing genealogy databases with enough evidence for the Lady of the Dunes to be identified. On October 31st, the FBI announced it finally identified the woman as Ruth Marie Terry, a native of Tennessee who was 37 at the time of her death. At the time of her disappearance, Ruth Marie Terry had mentioned to family that she was traveling to Massachusetts with her husband Guy Moldalvin, who's now become the main suspect in the case. Despite being married at the time, Guy never officially reported the disappearance of his wife to the police and conveniently remarried a year later as if nothing had ever happened. What's even crazier is that Guy Moldalvin's previous wife had also gone missing and was eventually found dead alongside his daughter inside a septic tank on Guy's Seattle home. He served only 2 years in prison before being released, which was followed by him marrying Ruth Marie Terry, who was then found in the Dunes only 5 months later. Guy Moldalvin died in 2002, however, if he is eventually found to be guilty, Ryan and Shane were correct in suggesting this.
It would seem that this was done by somebody who wasn't, I guess, like an amateur.
As well as this.
The unidentified victim would have known her murderer.
Yet we're incorrect in suggesting that the crime had been done by an Italian mob boss or schizophrenic prison inmate Haddon Clark. However, in the case of Amelia Earhart, one of the theories put forward by the boys—
Hold on. Cause you just
go right over into the.
Bro,
That's
crazy.
That is so insane.
From Tennessee all the way to Massachusetts, all the way up there. Nobody, because if he had came back here, nobody's gonna. The good thing she did tell her family she was going up there.
Yeah.
But ain't no telling what he came back down here and told. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because you never reported her. So
never reported her. So you probably told the family, oh, she ran off with a guy or something.
Anything.
Or,
you know what I'm saying?
And she's all the way up in Massachusetts in the 70s. They still got, you can still, like.
Yeah.
So his possibility of serial killer.
Who knows? Because we know those two.
Well, it's
okay, possibility.
Allegedly.
But allegedly, since they don't know for sure either. But regardless of the fact, I mean, hey. But
and it's her son, possibly his son. But no, can't be. Because they was only married for 5 months.
Yeah, it can't be.
So no. Or maybe because he made. No. I was like, maybe no.
Yeah,
but that shit is crazy though. That's mind blowing, is it not?
It is. It most definitely is.
Eventually turned out to be true. Ryan and Shane explained that Amelia Earhart was trying to become the first woman to fly around the world. However, on the stretch between Papua New Guinea and the Howland Islands in the South Pacific, Amelia Earhart, her navigator Frank Noonan, as well as their plane vanished and were never found again. The main theory put forward in the Unsolved episode was that Earhart's plane had run out of fuel and either crashed into the ocean or had successfully made a crash landing on the South Pacific island of Nkumaroro. Evidence for the successful crash landing was that 2 years after Earhart's disappearance, a British colonial officer by the name of Gerald Gallagher found a campfire, sextant, and a partial human skeleton on the previously uninhabited island. The bones were sent to a physician in Fiji, who concluded that they most likely belonged to a male who was short, stocky, and of European descent, eliminating the possibility that the bones belonged to Earhart. However, Ryan went on to explain that at a later date, the bones had been run through an updated database, which suggested that they could have belonged to a tall woman of European descent, which fit the description description of Earhart perfectly. Well, approximately a year after the Buzzfeed Unsolved episode was uploaded, an article popped up on NPR.org titled "New Research Claims Bones Found 80 Years Ago on Pacific Atoll Likely Amelia Earhart's," which explained that the bones had been run through Modern Ancestry Program 4DISC, which found that Hoodless had incorrectly determined the sex of the remains. The data revealed that the bones have more similarity to Earhart than to 99% of individuals in a large reference sample.
And that just shows you that with the advancement of technology, we can figure out that those in the past got scientific knowledge incorrectly. Because with science, it gets better and better and better and better over time. So with it getting better over time, that means we can kind of debunk past scientific knowledge or scientific history. You know what I mean? So there goes to the video with the history joint. Not all history will eventually end up changing, or scientific knowledge will end up changing due to the fact of advancement of technology and advancement of scientific knowledge. Nothing's ever set in stone because everything can be debunked as we go further and learn more.
As things advance, yeah.
It's a bit of a stretch to call the case of Amelia Earhart solved based on a couple of correctly sized bones. However, there's significantly better evidence.
Do you remember Amelia Earhart's
I don't
story?
remember. No.
You for real?
I don't think so.
Like that's a reason why I'm like shocked, because that's a very, very, very popular.
Look, let me say this. I'm not gonna lie. I remember that picture of them standing in front of the plane. It's that picture.
But even her name?
Possibly, but I just don't.
Oh wow. No, I'm hella shocked that you.
Bad?
I'm hella shocked you never heard of Amelia Earhart.
I never heard of it. I
don't even know the story.
I'm just not familiar right now with it, but I probably have heard it before.
Yeah,
but it probably was one time, and
I
don't remember it.
That's still shocking though, especially being a kid in the '90s, because I feel like a lot of '90s TV shows and like cartoons and stuff, like not even cartoons, but just like stuff within our youth head was always on TV.
Maybe I masked things. I don't
know. That's surprising.
For the person featured in Buzzfeed Unsolved's very first episode, the Somerton Man, who was finally identified in July 2022 after 74 years of mystery. The Somerton Man was found dead on a beach in Adelaide, Australia back in 1948, dressed immaculately in a full suit with polished shoes. Strangely enough, all of the tags had been removed from his clothing, with his fingerprints failing to hint at who he might be. The case became even weirder when a torn piece of paper was found sewn into his pants with the Persian phrase "tamam shud" written on it, which translated to "it has ended," with the case reaching even deeper levels of weird when someone brought in the book from which the paper had been torn, explaining that he found the book in the back of his car, which was parked near Somerton Beach. When the boys revisited the case in season 6, they talked extensively about the University of Adelaide professor Derek Abbott, who was seemingly the most determined as well as the closest to figuring out who the Somerton Man was. Well, it will be only 2 years and 3 months after this Buzzfeed Unsolved episode that Derek Abbott would finally achieve a breakthrough using the Somerton Man's hair.
We looked for people with no date of death on that tree, and there was one that stood out.
By using the DNA of a distant cousin living in Melbourne, Derek Abbott was finally able to confirm that the Somerton Man went by the name of Charles Webb.
It was at this point that we knew that Charles Webb was the Somerton Man, and we'd finally cracked it.
It's not the Somerton Man story now. This is the Charles Webb story.
The theories put forward in the Buzzfeed Unsolved episodes, such as the Somerton Man was a Russian spy or a ballet dancer, were disproven after Derek Abbott revealed that Charles Webb simply grew up working in a bakery while playing football on the weekends. However, the other tragic detail revealed in the episode of Australian Story was that prior to being found on the beach, the Somerton Man was living an incredibly lonely life.
He didn't have any friends. Not at all a happy person. Turns out that Charles loved to write poetry, and his favourite subject that he would write about was death. This story turns out that it's not some wild spy drama. It's really a sad, tragic, domestic situation.
Wow.
Is it possibly he committed, Reason why, and that's like a weird note, the end, but then y'all say, like, a lot of his poetry was written around death, and like hidden message word. tucked in between, and so maybe he wasn't want to be recognized or found, and just wanted to kind of escape the world and not be able to be traced.
Yeah, that's sad.
You know what I mean? That's it is sad, like very mysterious. That's crazy though. That's a crazy story. Like she said, at the end of the day, like it was this mysterious, this Russian spy, to come find out, like he actually lived a sad, tragic life. Like not necessarily tragic, but sad, lonely life that who knows what really truly happened to him. Yeah. We could have possibly just got tired of being alone.
Who knows?
That's sad, man.
I'm still thinking about that story.
Which one?
The one you trying to make me feel bad about.
I'm not making you feel bad about it. I'm just saying. I'm just surprised you never heard of it.
I didn't say I never heard of it. I'm not. I just said I can't remember like full details. That's what I said.
Nobody, like, to be real, I don't remember the full detail. But when you say Amelia Earhart, I'm like, yeah, I remember.
And then I said I kind of remember the picture, and the name sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Because I want to say she was trying to go around the world. She was trying to
be the first
female,
the first woman to go,
to travel, pilot around the whole world. And I remember there's a possibility she crashed in the water, like.
Possibly, yeah.
And I want to say that they believe that she possibly ran out of gas and crashed.
Yeah, that's what they said.
I'm saying not even from them, but I'm saying that's why I remember everybody kept saying it from them.
But that's what I'm saying. You heard that from that.
I ain't hear that from that. That's why I'm saying
the story. Okay, let's wrap it up. Hey,
man. Make sure y'all spell stuff in the comments, man. Let us know y'all thoughts in the PM. But that's crazy that they got all these are close or somewhat solved all these cases. Right. And that's a lot though. Five cases, that's still a lot of cases, man. But as always, I do go by the name DJ Kid this is.
We are.
Go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money low, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.